on your own or on the Wartooth one?
No, you got to invite it on your own account. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
Sweeney. How are you, mate?
Let's read the village.
How are we all? Going well for a Sunday? Yeah. How are we all? Going well for a Sunday? Just waiting for our guitarist / singer to come back over. Spewing. No, we're not going gent. We love our thrash. It's a bit of a preference. Nothing against gent, but yeah, as you can see from all the posters, thrash is important to us, and degent is not. Did you get your shirt yet, Melissa? So I hope everyone's having a ripper day so far. Almost lunchtime. We're probably going to be on here for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. We'll see how we go. We've got a few things to talk about. And looking forward to telling you about some songs we're working on. The demo progress at the moment. We've almost finished listening to those. And then we're looking to book some studio time soon. Looking forward to that. Hopefully recording in July. Still trying to have the album out October, maybe November. See how we go. But you know, waiting for studio time and stuff like that can be hard because there's only so many options to work with. So we've got to make sure we book in far enough ahead to get this to stay on the schedule that we're trying to work on. But you can only do what you can do. So anyway. You ready to go, Choi?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Let's cracking, team.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Everyone hear us all right, obviously, and see us all good. Sweet. Yeah. All right, well, it's about time we get into it, eh?
Must be.
That time of the year again. Day. Just adjust this slowly. There you go. You can see our shirts a bit better now.
That's important.
Yeah, sponsorship.
Represent.
That's the way. Yeah. Well, yeah. Morning all. Welcome to another Wartooth live stream on the Warpath. I'm Ando. This is Wally. We're ready to go again. What were we talking about today?
So this week we've been talking about our demo progress and how they're coming along. So like I said before, we've almost finished mixing and that sort of thing. So today we'll be talking about another couple of songs and linking back from the last live stream about the election and that. We'll just have a quick conversation about the election results from last weekend, obviously because we have somewhat of a political interest with the outlook of the country. And we've got to, you know, have our opinion. That's important to us. And
everyone's opinion is important, I think.
Yeah.
Especially on topics like that.
For sure. So
yeah.
We've got a couple of songs related to that. And so we'll talk about the results and that sort of thing. And then we'll move along into our mailing list and that sort of thing. A couple of people have signed up already. And yeah, we're looking for more people to get on board. We've got 3 songs for you, a brand new one that no one would have heard before, except if you've signed up to the mailing list. So that's a good reason to go sign up.
That's it.
So
check that one out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the big news of the week. I mean, it's sort of partly forgotten by a lot of people already because it's already happened. But big news is the election. Obviously, we're not going to talk too much about this. I don't want to bore you guys with politics, but yeah. So just talking about the results of that and how that came about. Obviously, our song "Sabotage" is a political number, kind of about the system and how the system itself is failing people. I'm not sort of going to go too passionately about that on this particular issue, but what I will say is like sort of how the election result came about. Obviously, a lot of people sort of thought the result was a surprise and sort of like a shock to the system. But I don't think necessarily that was the case in hindsight. If you're looking at how it transpired and the campaigns and all that things, I think the result could have only gone the way that it went. One of the things Wally and I were talking about is like sort of the Liberal Party and Scott Morrison, how he played a really good game of chess to win this election. It's, you know, in one sense, he sort of let the public perception be the public perception and not try and fight that, and just sort of be a sneaky sort of underdog coming in at the end. But maybe that was his plan all along. Just quickly, like, we're not going to sort of pick sides on the election or like tell you who we should vote for or who you shouldn't vote for or anything. It's not about that. Everyone's got their opinions on that, and it's rightfully so. But we're sort of just looking at the system as a whole and the election as a whole from the outside. But yeah, Scott Morrison and his game of chess, I think there's quite an interesting tactic, maybe is probably the right word, strategy.
Yeah, the way to use, the system is what the system is. People might not, a lot of people might not have an interest in politics and they don't really care about what happens. So if people just want to listen to the media or just sit in the middle and not really have a decision, obviously when you've got 2 parties, one's over here and one's over here, if someone can be more in the middle, then they're just naturally going to get more votes and not necessarily do things which are beneficial for those people, but just do things that are beneficial for themselves or whatever the case may be. But if they're in the middle where a lot of voters are undecided and they can sway a lot of those voters, then they're just going to get the position of power and not necessarily actually help those people simply because they don't really have much of an interest either way. So,
well, I think that's the biggest thing with this election is like what we talk about in Sabotage is this like red versus blue mentality, which is really big in America, and it's been really big here for quite some time now as well, maybe 20 years, close to 20 years. And basically what happened was Scott Morrison and the Liberal Party used that red versus blue mentality to their advantage. So leading into the election, they started looking at policies that are, so obviously they're on the right of politics and the Labour is on the left, both sort of near the middle. But so what happened was the Liberal Party and Scott Morrison sort of looked at a few policies and things which were slightly more left than maybe what the Liberal Party would normally do, slightly more centrist at least. So by sort of taking a step from their right-wing stance towards the middle, that left Labour in a position to either just agree with them and create like 2 parties which are almost the same, which was very difficult for people to vote for, or Labour had the option of sticking to their red versus blue principle, and therefore they have to take a step back from the middle, more left. So sort of if you think about it as like a chess game, they've got to keep like a distance between themselves. So Scott Morrison took a step towards the middle, which meant Labour had to take a step further to the left to keep that sort of difference between the parties. And what happened was then by doing that, Labour isolated a lot of their like central sort of supporters and voters, which the Liberal Party picked up by stepping more towards the middle. And that sort of had a bigger flow-on effect as well throughout the other parties. Sort of, if you think about it as rather than like a left and a right and everything in between, more of like a circle almost. All the people that were more extreme left had to go even further extreme left. All the people that were extreme right had to come a little bit more towards the middle. It was like a big sort of, where's my hands? Big sort of like shuffle of the circle. You know what I mean? So like by one person taking a step, it created this domino effect where everybody had to like move further away around the circle, and it upset. Well, not so much upset, but it confused a lot of voters, I think, because normally the parties they might align with, they sort of didn't agree with some of their policies. Like, I know Labour, for example, started promising more division in the country instead of being like a united for the people kind of thing. They started going more like it's us versus them, it's the rich versus the poor. They started creating all this division, which is more of a extreme left or right wing type of approach. And as I said, they sort of isolated a lot of their voters because of that. And I think all of that stems back to the fact that Scott Morrison and the Liberal Party took that initial step towards the middle, which just upset the whole sort of balance of the apple cart. Which, maybe that was a really smart decision on his behalf by going more towards the middle, capturing some of those 50-50 undecided voters and pushing all the other parties away from their comfort zone. Yeah,
so basically, coming back to the music, we've got a song called Sabotage. Just have to wait and see how the next couple of years pan out for the country. Hopefully, some people might say he's doing a good job, some people might not. We'll just have to wait and see how things go. But, we're still going to have interest and, agreements or disagreements with things. But, that's why we have these conversations, just so we can talk about them. Maybe just open people's ideas or open people's minds to different ideas, and that's basically what the music's all about, being able to have conversations and not create division between people, but just bring people together for a discussion rather than having a strong standpoint and being able to disagree then isolate yourself. So,
yeah, no, that's fair. I think, I've lost my train of thought here. We're just talking about Morrison taking a step towards the middle.
Yeah. Doing full circle.
Yeah. Doing a full circle. Shit, I'm like mental blanking right now. Real professional. So that's what you're saying is about the next 3 years. So what the interesting point is going to be is whether Morrison and the Liberal Party keep their position near the middle versus whether they sort of just use that to win the election and then we'll go back to their normal right-wing sort of stance, or whether they, as I said, stay with the promises and things they do, which, knowing politics from either side, promises, empty promises, do whatever you can to win and then not give a shit after that. It's quite common. Again, this is part of what Sabotage is about. So we just got a comment here come through from Joshua Sweeney. What's your reaction when Bill Shorten is retired from Labor government, Tony Abbott's defeat, and Scott Morrison's big win? So I think, like we just talked about, Scott Morrison's win. And without getting into like picking sides and things like that, I think Shorten's retirement, I think it's almost necessary at this point. I mean, he's lost 3 pretty big elections, which, I mean, this one was supposedly you should have been a shoo-in for him, a walk-up start. I think at the end of the day, the public obviously doesn't want him to be the Prime Minister.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good things getting said about him, on a local level. So
that's it. But what's interesting there is he sort of played the game that Tony Abbott was playing when Tony Abbott won and got into Prime Minister, which was that whole sabotaging type game, which is why we wrote the song of like, if you can't come up with good ideas and defend them, at least if you run down the other bloke, you might be half a chance. And Shorten's been playing that since Abbott won the election. He's really jumped on that sort of tactic, which, again, this is why we wrote the song. I think it's a bullshit tactic. It's not helping the country. And if both parties are just bagging each other out, like nobody gets anywhere. And just leading on to more of that question about Tony Abbott's defeat, like, again, he was always this sort of sabotaging, like negative mudslinging type of politician. So for him to be gone, I think is a good thing for both sides, really. It cleans up a bit of the politics rather than, not from a Labour point of view of like, yes, we got rid of him, or from a Liberal point of view of it's like, oh, it's sad we lost him. But it's almost a win for politics in Australia, because to get rid of more of that mudslinging, and again with Shorten's retirement as well, sort of getting rid of that mindset and just going more into a mindset of like promote ideas, promote development and forward movement rather than just throwing shit at the other team because they're the other team.
Yeah.
So I think both of those things is probably a good thing for the country overall.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one thing, you don't want to have to sit there and try and vote on personalities and go, well, this guy just bagged the shit out of this bloke, and this guy just sat there and bagged the shit out of this bloke. On a personal level, it's like Bill Shorten and his government will do these bad things, so don't vote for them. That's not... It's
not helping you who to vote for, is it? It's not telling you who not to vote for.
And it's not helping the long run, where it's like, okay, well, if we don't vote these people in, then what are we going to get, And that's sort of what we spoke about last time. You don't want to have to make decisions on that, so we don't want to go down that path too far.
Lesser of two evils.
Yeah,
it's like,
but
it's not a really good option to choose from.
The more we can push that sort of tactic away, you might actually get some people coming up with some good ideas and selling those good ideas and actually looking to make some progress with the country and, help you live your life, and do more and do better. So
that's one of the things we were talking about in the last live stream about this planting of the seed. So sometimes, you need to come out with an idea. Maybe people won't like it, maybe people will. But if it's a strong idea and you've got potential for future development and future growth because of your idea, sometimes you just have to go in there promoting your idea, plant it, and not see the results, or not necessarily have everyone on board with the seed. But when they see the tree, I think people's perspectives might change a bit. I think if we can get more politicians and more parties coming up with policies for forward movement of the country, even if they sort of seem difficult at first or not popular, I think at least if they're promoting ideas rather than just promoting politics or promoting this team warfare, I think that's a good change, and that's going to help grow the country over the long run. Yeah,
for sure. So we'll move it along to
that's enough politics.
we don't have to do too much politics. So
that's it.
You want to introduce a new one?
Yeah, I guess so. Just on this mindset of running the country and all that sort of business. So for those that have signed up for our mailing list, obviously you would have heard it. We've got a new track out called Scourge. It's just in demo form at the moment, but I hope you guys are digging it. It's going to be on the new album and in proper shiny studio produced quality. But anybody who's on the mailing list already has already heard it. We'd love to hear what you guys think of that. If you've got any questions about what the song's about or anything like that, we're going to sort of delve into that today. But sure, send those comments and questions through. That'd be great. But Scourge, that's a fun one.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun writing that one. We only wrote it like this year. We had the guts of it coming up before that, but did a lot of work on it this year, and we're sitting there going like, all right, this sounds good and that sounds good, and then making adjustments, and got a sick headbang section, which is always good. But
you gotta have those halftime like headbangs
for sure. But behind all of that, we're not just here to make cool sounding songs. We want to actually get some sort of point across. So it's been a bit of time working on the lyrics. We had a couple of sessions together, just coming up with concepts and refining those, coming up with the right words to use to make sure we're saying the right things. And that's sort of how we came to the title of Scourge, which by definition means.
So Scourge is kind of, the word itself is used to describe a person or a thing or a system that causes trouble or suffering. So in the context of our song, Scourge is kind of about this corrupt capitalist society that we live in. Not saying that the whole society is corrupt, but we're looking at the corrupt parts of it. And sort of looking at how that money, that power can sort of corrupt people. And while the capitalist system is built on a pyramidal type structure where the bottom is holding up the top, sometimes the top forgets that and thinks they can hold themselves up and thinks that they're more important than the bottom. And what happens then is they start creating this division and separation where they start shitting on the people below them. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that in their job or in a big business or in government in our country or any sort of system like that. And what happens is that when the top starts shitting on the people below them, is the people below them start walking away, and then before you know it, the whole pyramid's going to collapse pretty damn quick. So, this is kind of our song aimed at the people at the top in those corrupt positions, saying like, hey, like the only reason you're at the top is because there's a bunch of people holding you up. So don't forget about that, and sort of be respectful and a bit mindful of it. We don't necessarily have a problem with you being at the top. Obviously, if you want to work hard and build an empire and sit on top of that empire, like that's great. But certainly don't forget how you got there. Stay humble, stay grounded, and stay connected with the people that are supporting you, because nobody can get to the top on their own. And by shitting on the people below you, you're going to create a lot of problems for them and for yourself.
Do you see any examples in your life of being in that pyramid somewhere?
In the pyramid?
Yeah.
Well, I think
like whether you're at the bottom or whether you've seen it happen around you.
For sure. I think, like anybody, I've got a job, working a few jobs and things like that. Some jobs you've worked for people and the bosses are great and really humble and really respectful of the workers they got for them. They're really supportive, and they understand that without the workers, the company can't exist. And then on the flip side, sometimes you have a job where the boss just forgets completely about that and just treats you like a piece of shit. And you're just here to do your job and fuck off and don't care about you. And like I've experienced both of those things in different jobs in my life, both the good and the bad, and certainly, obviously, the better system is when you're getting sort of respect and appreciation from the top, because we're all contributing to the system here. Like the guys at the top are contributing, but so are the guys in the middle and the guys at the bottom. And I think, as I said, like the people at the top that forget that become sort of self-centered and assholes, and it just shits on everyone below them. And those people don't like the people at the top, and that creates that division, which again is sort of the politics of this country in a lot of ways. It's like sort of got so full of themselves that everyone's sort of given up on the system a bit and just gone, like, what are we supposed to do here? Like, you guys don't respect the people, and the people are the ones that are voting you in and have the power to vote you out. And,
Sure. You say that. I mean, the place I work, we work in a flower company. We just finished a big, couple of weeks over Mother's Day. And one thing that my boss does, he makes sure he rewards everyone working throughout the company, because he knows that, okay, he might be at the top and makes all the decisions and does whatever, but if he doesn't look after everyone else in the pyramid that works for him, then he's not going to be able to do anything that he does, because at the end of the day, it takes more than one person to run any sort of system. And so everyone in the pyramid plays their part. So if you're not looking after them, then you're not going to be able to get the rewards that you're after. But the more you look after them, the more rewards they give you, because if you're going to get rewarded and pats on the back, the next time around, you're going to put in more effort and you're going to work harder, which is going to create better results for the person at the top. So if you've got any sort of system, whether it's work or government or anything like that, the more the people at the top spread out the reward and spread out the
just like appreciation,
anything like that, the more they can filter that through the whole system, the more everyone feels happy about it. They're all going to say, this system is working because I'm getting rewarded. I might just be this little piece of the puzzle over here, but I'm getting notified and I'm getting patted on the head every time I do something good. So I'm going to keep working hard, and that's going to lift everything up, and then the whole system becomes better.
It strengthens the pyramid, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Every part of the pyramid is being strengthened, then the whole pyramid as a whole gets strengthened and grows.
That's right. Yeah. So that's something you want to aim for. If you want to talk about government, or whether it's a company, talk about capitalism. If you want to be able to build that and make it stronger, the only way you can do that is by, if you're at the top, you've got to push everything down to everyone else, make sure they're all feeling the support. Or when you're at the bottom, you've got to work as hard as you can, because even though you may not be getting noticed, your work is important to the strength of the pyramid.
That's it.
Yeah. So the song Scourge is about that pyramid, but it's the negative side of it.
It's not saying the pyramid system is necessarily bad. It's just about how people react within it and how people treat the other parts of that pyramid. I think
exactly.
We're not saying capitalism is fucked and should be abolished necessarily. It's just more about making sure there's a human element to it, and people treat people with respect and appreciation. I think that's, as I said, going up the pyramid or going down. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But I think what it comes down to, well, is like just sort of being humble, and like, as I said, if you are at the top, knowing that like you don't get there by yourself, and sort of keeping humility there, but also no matter where you are in the pyramid, not sort of thinking you're bigger than you are and that you can hold yourself up. Like if you think about it as like a physical human pyramid where everyone's stacked on top of each other. If any one of those people decide, fuck this, I'm out, that portion, or maybe the whole pyramid, is going to start collapsing pretty damn quickly. So, I think it's quite important to sort of keep that humility. And I know you've got some pretty good sort of research and points on humility just in general life from your reading and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's most important that, it's hard for people because, you go to work every day, and, especially if you work for a big corporation, I've worked at Woolworths. I know a lot of people have worked for big supermarkets, or you work for a bank or anything like that. You don't feel like you're contributing, but at the end of the day, okay, you might be a replaceable element, but it's not the fact that you're not replaceable, or it's not the fact that you are replaceable, it's the fact that that position is not replaceable. This company needs someone to be at the registers to process the customers to make the money, because, if Woolworths or any sort of supermarket is selling products, it doesn't matter about management or anything like that. If people aren't coming through the checkouts and there's no one there to service them, or no one there to service them with a smile and, have a good customer experience, the customer's not coming back. And if the customers don't come back, the whole system fails because no one's buying any product. So it doesn't matter where you are in your life, everything you do is important. And if you're in these systems, which you will be, it's important that you play your role. And if you're not getting rewarded, then you can question that, but don't feel like you need to have the same recognition, or don't feel like the people on the top are shitting on you, because that may not always be the case. But the song Scourge, that's what we're pointing out, the fact that, okay, these people at the top, they need to realize how important all the other layers in this pyramid are.
Yeah, the song's definitely directed at those people at the top that have forgotten.
So make sure they need to be notified that it's important, to tell everyone else. And okay, maybe if you are in one of these systems and you're getting treated like crap, you need to go find a better pyramid, because if that's the way they want to operate, they're shooting themselves in the foot. Like I said, if you're at the top and you're treating everyone like shit, they don't want to be there. They don't want to put in the effort. So all people are going to do if they're working for you is going to come in, do half-assed job, make you half the money. So at the end of the day, your system's not even doing as well as it can. And that, just going to
like we said before, you strengthen each part of the pyramid, you strengthen the pyramid. Just what you're saying before about sort of customer service and things like that. Obviously, this is a bit off topic, but like, what's your opinion on sort of like this electronic checkouts, the self-service things? I think, you're sort of losing that human element and connection. And sure, it might be more efficient, as in they don't have to pay wages and things like that for the staff. But I mean, it's not just that industry, but a lot of industries are going more automated, and sort of robots doing people's jobs. So do you feel like that's going to have a big impact on society moving forward?
Well, just on a personal level, I've had days where it's like, all right, you just want to run into the shops or whatever and just grab something real quick. You don't really feel like you need to jump in a queue and have a conversation with someone. You're just there to buy something and go home. So that's fair enough. But there's other times where, if you go on shopping or you might be having a bit of a rough day, whatever, and, customer service person might say something, just start up a conversation. And I've had times where I walk away and I'm like, oh, that conversation with that person, that put a big smile on my face. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was at the service station, a bit tired, filling up on a Sunday arvo, and I went in and I just, said, hey, how's it going? And the person started talking to me back, and I walked out of that servo with a big smile on my face, because we just had a conversation that we didn't even plan on having.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, that just energized me and, made me happier for the rest of the day. It's like, a computer's not going to do that for me. It's not something that I want or something that I needed, but it's something that just happened and it made me happier.
Well, that's it. And I think, sort of just on that topic about, like, you're sort of, as I said, losing that human element. If you make everything that's simple, just make it automated, like, all of a sudden you don't get all those little bits of interaction. You don't get to have like a smile from a person making you coffee, or somebody serving you at a shop or whatever. Like, not only customer service, but just that human interaction, which, again, with social media and all that stuff, like, causes all sorts of chaos. Like, did we cover Wired to Die in the last video? I don't think we did.
Not really, no.
But Wired to Die is basically about that sort of loss of human interaction through the fact that everyone lives online these days, and while you're talking to people online, it's not the same as being in person having a conversation with somebody.
Emotions, that's what makes us human.
Body language,
emotions, feelings.
Inflection in your voice, things like all those little bits and pieces, and emotion, as you say, like physical connection, makes all the difference versus just the cold surface interaction of like, that will be this amount of dollars. Thank you for coming. See you next time. Like, you know what I mean? You don't get that smile. You don't get that human interaction. And that causes, there's been plenty of studies about how depression has been on the rise because of these things, and the feeling of isolation and loneliness has been on the rise because of social media. And but it's not just social media is what we're getting at. It's like, it's all those little things in your life that are being less and less human.
Yep.
Which is, again, part of that capitalist sort of structure. It's like when people at the top forget about the people that are in the triangle, in the pyramid, and start replacing those people with robots or machines or bits and pieces like that. It's like all of a sudden you don't have a human network anymore. You just have a efficient electronic system, which is, as I said, like, you lose all that interaction, which creates a whole bunch of other flow-on effects.
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So
You did well to link that back around.
yeah, then back to what? It's a good segue. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
it's a
and
good
smooth.
segue.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it is. But it's like a lot of our songs, like while they're separate issues, they all do kind of relate to the world we live in, and that's what this album is about. It's an outlook from us over the last 4 or 5 years, looking at the society that we live in and seeing how it's falling apart in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's some good things, but a lot of issues in our society are all interrelated. They're not isolated issues, as like we just talked about, with riot and with things like religion through benevolent destroyer and sabotages politics, scourges about capitalist economy and corruption within. We've got another song about sort of pollution and our effect on the environment and things like that. But all of these issues are not separate, isolated issues that have nothing to do with each other. They're all connected in ways through the human element, through human relationships and interaction.
Evolution.
And through things like money and how that can change things for the worse and for the better. But I mean, all these songs are it's a theme, but it's not a concept album. But the theme is basically us looking at the world and going like, there's a whole bunch of problems here that we don't necessarily have the answers to. It's not a simple like, oh, you just flick a switch and then like that problem solved, and then flick another switch and that problem solved. It's not going to be like that. It's these big issues in the world are big issues for a reason, and they're going to take big fucking solutions that are going to take a long time to come up with the answers. But I guess this album is basically our outlook on the world at the moment, and sort of thinking like, there's a lot of issues here that are related, and to solve them, you have to look at them as related issues rather than isolated ones in a vacuum.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to go over here and fix this thing by using this strategy, because what do you know? Oh, it's going to cause more problems with this thing over here. So we've got to be able to look at the world,
It's a complex web of relationships, both with people, but just relationships as in issues are related and things like that. Yeah.
So I think one of the things with a lot of the songs we've written and, the first album that we're doing, it's just about creating the discussion, making people aware, like these are problems that we need to be aware of. And it's not up to anyone in particular to go and fix it. But if everyone's aware of it, then we're conscious, and you can make your own decision about something, because okay, if the media tells you this or the media tells you that, and that completely influences your decision and your opinion because you're not thinking for yourself, which conveniently we've got another song about that too. You want to be able to go, oh, I know a little bit about this. Someone telling me something, I need to go find out whether that's true or not, because otherwise, what do you know? That person might be telling me that, so I can make a decision which actually gives them a better result and doesn't actually resolve the problem, which can be, related to politics or.
Well, but like what you're saying, by having that awareness of like these issues and the fact that they're related, and if everyone or on a day-to-day basis can be at least aware of it, not necessarily working to solve it, but at least that way, the little things that you do in your life, you can do with a bit more consciousness of the greater context, I guess. And you can make slightly better decisions here and there because you understand, like, oh, if I do this thing, it might affect that thing over there, or vice versa. Or that thing that somebody's doing over there is affecting me in this way that I didn't even realize. Then you can start to make slightly better little decisions in your life, which if on a mass scale happens, that's how we start improving society as a whole. It's not like a top-down thing of like, we're going to implement this big strategy and it's going to solve all our problems. It's not about that. It's about the little tiny decisions that each person makes on a day-to-day basis. And if we can improve those a little bit on a big scale, like society as a whole will start strengthening, like we just talked about with the pyramid,
Yeah.
You start strengthening little bits of the pyramid here and there and everywhere, and then all of a sudden the pyramid as a whole becomes so much stronger.
How do you feel on a day-to-day basis, like, important to the world, like your presence? Is that, do you think it's hard to get up every day and go, everything I do impact the world?
I don't necessarily look at it that way.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think like I'm important to the world as in like I'm making a big impact. But I certainly am important to the small little world that I live in and the people around me, and my job and my band and my friends and my family and things like that. My little network of people, like I'm important to that, as we all are. And it's just about those little tiny decisions that I make on a day-to-day basis of like, I'm not going to say that negative thing to that person because it might affect them, or I'm going to go to work with a good attitude and work hard because that affects the company that I work for, which then gives me more work and gives me, it's not just about me though, but it affects my boss and my colleagues at work and my friends, and it helps improve my life and their lives, and that goes back around the circle.
Yeah.
And just by having like a sort of more positive outlook on a day-to-day basis of little things, I feel like I'm doing my part in the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And while I'm not trying to affect the world and change the world, I'm just keeping sure that my little world is going well and moving forward, I guess. And if, as I said, if everyone is doing that in a little way and affecting their little portion of the world, then overall the whole world is being affected in a positive way. So I mean, back to your question, it's kind of, I approach every day with like a positive attitude and try and do the best that I can by the people that are in that day, of like the people that I interact with, like at work or through my friends and family and stuff like that, and make little decisions like that. Yeah.
So it's important to, maintain the fact that yes, we are all just a person in this massive, place called Earth, but every little thing you do, you don't even realize the impact of that. But everything you do positive contributes positively, and everything you do negative contributes negatively.
Yeah, it's like a butterfly effect.
Exactly.
Like you're starting a ripple, and that ripple can then, as I said, you have a negative impact on your close friend. That close friend then takes that negative impact to the next person in his life, her life, and then so on and so forth. And before you know it, one little thing that you said has like had a negative impact on that person's day, which has a negative impact on that person's day, and before you know it, you have actually affected like a big part of the world.
You've caused some car accident because someone was thinking about something bad that 3 other people said to them, and now they, weren't paying attention.
You say something to your mate, and they get pissed off, or they just feel shit.
Yeah.
And then they have a negative relationship with somebody that makes their coffee at the coffee store.
Yeah.
And then the person that works at the coffee store has a grumpy attitude.
Yeah.
So everyone they serve coffee to picks up on that negative energy, and then all those people take that to their work, and it's just like it does have a flow-on effect. But you don't have to think about it on that big scale. You just think about your direct relationships in your life and try and have more positive interactions there.
Exactly.
And that will have a flow-on effect by default, I think, to the greater context of the world. But anyway, we do have another question here, sort of from Joshua Sweeney again, about the band. So, I mean, anybody who's been following us knows that at the moment it's just the two Napstein brothers rocking the Wartooth at the moment. For your guys' information, so the album will be the two of us recording. We're not going to have sort of anybody else on musically. We might get a few sort of guest musicians in or some things like that, but certainly the guitars and the bass and the vocals will be myself. Wally will be playing the drums. We'll sort of share backup vocal duties and maybe get some other people in for some guest spots and things like that. But in terms of the member situation, we've got some good news. We are moving towards having a full lineup again. We're talking to a couple of blokes at the moment. We're having a jam this coming week, actually.
We've had a couple so far.
We've had a couple that have not been so successful, unfortunately. But that's beyond our control, and we can only do the best we can do. But we're having a jam this coming week with a guitarist. We're talking to a few other people for guitar and bass. So in the next, I would like to say, month or two, we should have a lineup locked down, all going well.
Yep. We've still got our show in September, which we're going to be ready for on the Gold Coast.
Which nobody's announced yet, so we'll keep that one real quiet. So we are playing Steel Assassins, though. That's been confirmed in Sydney. So that's definitely happening in November. We've got, as Wally said, we've got another show which has not been announced yet, so we're going to not mention that one too much. But
not bad.
That's all right. We've got shows. We'll have a lineup for those shows, and certainly once the album's done, we'll be spreading that album around the country and touring and things like that. So the future of Wartooth is definitely looking bright and complete again.
That's one of those things. The hardest, we lost a couple of people, and we're so flat out smashing out the album pre-production and all that sort of thing. Maintaining the online presence is easy, but not playing shows. We're starting to get a bit upset about that.
I missed the stage.
Yeah.
Holy shit! It's so much fun playing gigs and seeing like a bunch of you guys going nuts for our songs and all that sort of thing. But as I said, like we're hoping that you guys are enjoying the demo tracks that we're releasing and certainly the content we're chucking up online.
Yeah.
We're trying to be informative but entertaining, and a bit of everything really.
Just maintain, that relationship that we're starting to sort of click together. It's like, okay, we're not playing shows, so you can't come out every month and have a look at that, but, we still want to talk about the songs that we're singing on a stage are still the same songs that we put on a CD, and it's still the same things that we talk about that go around in our heads. So if we're having that conversation through music or through Facebook or through Instagram, whatever it may be, we still want to have that conversation with people. So
that's it.
It's just a change of format, really, but we still want to get back into the shows and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be happening once we got that lineup back together.
Yeah,
but, I mean, we really appreciate your guys' support through this time. Like, we've seen a lot of you commenting and liking our posts, and we see the same sort of names pop up a lot, which is good to see. Like, obviously, you guys are interested and keen as hell, and that, keeps us going.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this earlier today, actually, but the primary reason we're doing this as a band and making music is because we enjoy it. We enjoy making the music. We enjoy talking about the things that we like to talk about, and using the songs as a bit of a message board or as like a soapbox in a way to get up there and sort of have our opinions on things. But to see other people like lapping that up and enjoying it and giving back as well.
Giving back, yeah.
I think that it just like adds fuel to the fire.
Connecting with it, it resonates in my life. It resonates in your life as well.
Yeah, and to see you guys really connecting that with that and giving back, it's like, as I said, it adds fuel to our fire and keeps us wanting to continue to do what we're doing, and get closer and closer to that album.
Yep.
So that we can get back out on tour and enjoy some beers with you guys.
Yeah.
Fuck, like that's the game again.
That's probably one thing, maybe a lot of bands are missing a bit these days, but it's, as a band, if you have a song written about this topic or that topic, I want to be able to have that conversation with you, but sometimes that platform's not always opened up. If bands are just sitting there, they post pictures from their show and then they play shows and post some more pictures and videos and whatever. But, when do I actually get to have that conversation with you? So that's something we really value. We want to have that conversation, because we're not just writing songs for the hell of it. It's like these messages are important. And
they're important to us, and we feel like, obviously, some people feel they're important to them. And we want to know if you guys agree with what we're talking about, or even more so, we want to know if you disagree with what we're talking about, and we want to hear your side of the story. And maybe you can enlighten us on something that we haven't thought about, or argue a point and say, like, hang on, what you guys are thinking is maybe look at it this way. And by getting that different perspective, it opens our minds. We learn, we grow as people. And vice versa as well, by us having opinions and throwing them out there. Hopefully, it might enlighten somebody, or at least make you sort of think twice about something you're doing. And maybe you listen to what we say and you go, fair enough, but I'm happy with what I'm doing, and that's cool too. But at least you had that split second to think about what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you exist in the world. But as I said, like we're more than happy to have that discussion about any of these things that we're talking about, or more. And as I said, whether we agree or disagree is irrelevant. I think we're all mature enough people to be able to disagree but still learn things from people. So
listen.
You just listen. You can. What did I say the other day? I heard this quote a long time ago, but you can learn something from everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from in their life. Everyone's got something, some piece of information or some sort of advice that you don't have, and you may not know what that thing is that person has, but if you listen to people, 99% of the time you'll learn something. And that's the way I approach life, and the way Wally approaches life, I think, as well. Like we listen to anybody because there's probably something that you can teach us about something that we don't know. So,
especially those drunk guys at the pub at the shows at like 1 a.m. They've got plenty of information. You can really soak all that up.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Fucking, was it Riley from Desecrator used to talk about?
On the Anti-Social podcast.
That's right, on the Anti-Social. There's a couple of plugs for you. Check out Desecrator. Check out the Anti-Social podcast. Riley was saying about the old Spitty bloke. Yeah. That drunk bloke that's smashed off his nut that came to see you as a band play and just talks your ear off, dropping those little droplets of spit all over your face as he's rambling. But like, those are the guys, they're passionate enough to come and talk to you. And this is what Riley was saying. He's spent the money to get into the show. He's watched you play, and now he wants to have a conversation with you. So, like, there's respect in that. There's respect due in that. But listen to the bloke. He's probably got something. Like, sure, he might be just on a drunken ramble, but there's probably like one little gem in that conversation that you'd be like, I might take that and learn from that, or think about something, and whatever. You gotta listen to everyone. I think everyone's got their opinions and a little, as I said, a little bit of information that you don't have. So
quite simply, everyone lives day to day, and so therefore they've experienced something that you probably have not, because no one lived your life and you haven't lived anyone else's life. So they've done something, they've been somewhere that you simply haven't, and they can tell you that that's either good or bad. Whether they're going to sit around and talk about, when they were 10 years old or 20 years old and they were doing all these drugs and whatever, you can go, oh, that's good information, I don't want to do that now. Or that's good information that I might want to do that now. So everyone has something to give, and you can always look at it with that perspective rather than, I wish this guy would go away, like he's really annoying me.
Have an open mind.
Yeah,
and an open ear.
Yeah.
And just
give him something back.
That's it. But yeah, just we're talking about plugs from Indie Social and from Desecrator there. This week I spoke to Dean Arcane from Medics of Pain, and he hooked me up with a brand new Medics of Pain album. This thing fucking rips, and I'm not just saying that because he's a mate. Like, this album sounds fucking amazing. If you're a fan of Creator, check it out. It sounds like their new one should have sounded. It's better than Creator's latest album, in my opinion. But it's got a very similar sort of tonality, and a similar sort of music vibe about like Creator. And as I said, it fucking rips. And they're Brisbane boys, local band. So I think they're playing some gigs coming up. I'm not sure, but check them out on the Facebook. But yeah, Medics of Pain, Let's Bang, fucking banger of an album. Holy shit, check that shit out. It's got my endorsement.
Going hard, Medics of Pain.
I'm not just saying that.
Yeah,
and they're great blokes. So we've played with the shows a few times.
Yeah.
We always have a good time, a few good beers, and
yeah.
No, we'll be playing some more shows with them coming up. I think they're playing Steel Assassins as well. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. So that's going to be a double Queensland represent down there.
Yeah.
With I think there's another Queensland band as well, but I cannot remember who that is.
I'm not
sure. Snakebite Whiskey. So 3 Queensland bands on Steel Assassins this year, which is a change from last time we were down there. I think it was just us representing the Sunshine State. No, you're
they
right.
played this Saturday.
Never mind. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm talking about. But yeah, anyway, I think that's probably enough from us today, unless you guys have got any further questions or comments to add. But as I said, we're moving forward. We've got a lineup coming together pretty quick. We're playing Steel Assassins and another gig which is yet to be announced. We've got the album's progressing well. As I said, we nearly finished the demo mixes. And then we're just, after that, it's book some studio time, rehearse, and get in there and record the thing for real. And if you haven't already, please check out the mailing list. Jump on there. We've got a new song, Scourge, for you guys to check out, as well as a couple other tracks. We're sending way more content to those guys than just posting on Facebook. Or we will be, I should say, moving forward.
I'm going to try and email you guys twice a week, maybe once or twice a week, so keep your eyes out for that. And make sure you add me to your primary inbox so I don't end up in your junk or your spam, because I want to give you all this stuff. But
nothing worse than ending up in someone's junk.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
You never know where you're going to find in someone else's junk.
Oh, mate. Get the hell out of
here. Yeah, I want to make sure that I can get a hold of you. And, I've got questions, but I've also got stuff I want to give you and stuff I want to tell you.
That's it.
So keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, for those that have already signed up to the mailing list, we'd love to hear what you guys are thinking so far. We don't really have a plan for this mailing list. We don't have like an end goal or a pathway. We're kind of just, in one sense, we're kind of winging it as we go along. So if you guys have things that you want to see from us or that you don't want to see from us, let us know, and we'll endeavor to sort of get that stuff out to you. The mailing list it's less of like a newsletter platform and more of a sort of interactivity between you guys and us. And sort of, we want to hear what you guys want from us. We're going to give you some things, and it's going to be this like,
see how you like it.
It's almost like a little bit of a community, I guess. Trying to set up that interaction. So as much as we're going to be sending emails out to you guys, we'd love to hear from you and see what you want and see what you think of things that we're sending you. We're trying to open up that discussion and that sort of open up the floor for your input as well. Because as much as we're doing this band for us and making music for us, like, it's a part of a lot of you guys and your lives as well. Like the fact that you listen to our music and you come to our shows and stuff. So we want this to be the best experience for all of us involved. And so, to do that, we need your guys' input and your opinions and feedback. So, yeah, we're definitely open for anything that you've got to say about that. So,
for sure.
But yeah, if you haven't already, sign up for the mailing list. It's at signup.wartoothmetal.com.
/ opt-in.
Or do you know, I don't think you have to put that in. I don't know, but
Maybe.
just check. There's a button at the top of a Facebook page.
Facebook
Hit the
page.
sign up button.
Sign up button.
Jump on that
Facebook page.
mailing list. Grab a hold of Scourge. Grab a hold of some of the other shit we're sending out, and let us know what you think. But we're going to be doing this live stream thing in another month, so keep an eye out for that one.
Tunes in June.
Tunes in June. It's a working title.
That'll work. No, that won't work. He's out.
But anyway, we'll see you in a month's time, and we'll keep posting some shit in the meantime. But until then, in the words of Daniel Vine from Brisbane, stay trash.
Sleeves.